I got it, boy. Yee-haw! Ironclad RC, Big B here. Thank you guys for riding with me. Today we got the 4S Creighton on the block. On the last video, I showed you guys how to build a tower brace and chassis brace for the arrma 4S line. Today we're going to be going over slipper clutch, how to put it together, what I do to prevent it from slipping, and I've also got a spool gear for speed runs that I built and I want to show you guys. This has all been covered on other videos, but I don't think they've put the clutch together quite like I have. I've been testing my method for a couple of months now in the 4S Creighton with this TP power motor, and I've had some great results with the way that I've built this slipper clutch. So stick around. We're going to go right into it, get dirty. We're going to put this thing together for you on video. So if you guys are having problems with your slipper clutch like everyone else is, stick around. Alright, you guys, so I guess we'll start. I guess this is as good a place as any to start. Pick this up at my local hobby shop. Hobby chest, slipper clutch maintenance set. And basically what this has in it, it has your spring that sets the load on your slipper clutch. You have your slipper screw and the cup for the outside of your slipper clutch hub with these race bearings here. You also get this little guy right here, which at first I really didn't know what to do with it, and I kind of just threw a couple of them in the trash. I looked online, nobody knew what these were for, since they fit in here perfect. You know, you would think that they would fit in there and you could put it, you know, the screw will cinch up on the hub and then that would back it up, right? Well, wrong. Because once you put that little nut in your hub and you go to put it on your input gear, there's not enough room. It's bottoming out. There's nothing, and it doesn't butt all the way up into your input gear. So, got to thinking, got fed up with your slipper clutch screw backing out mid-run, you know, or you go to another extreme and you tighten your slipper clutch all the way down, and you're chewing up differential gears, which is $10 a pop. Adds up. I probably went through oh man, I don't even know, maybe 20 diff gears. I mean, I shim them up properly. You know, that ring gear on your differential, it just, on these composite differentials that come in this car, if you run a tight slipper clutch, it'll break stuff. Drive shaft yokes, drive shaft differentials, it breaks everything if you run a tight slipper clutch. So I would recommend running a loose slipper clutch and set it with some Loctite and this little nut right here. But the thing is, you've got to do some modifications to your ride before you can use this nut. What did I do with it? Okay, here it is. See if I can get it out here for you. This hub that I'm using, that I'm going to use today, is completely stripped out. There's not one single thread left in this hub right here. So I'm going to rely on that little screw nut that comes with the maintenance set. But you can't use it in its whole form. You need to shave some off of it. I hope you guys can see the difference in height here. You see how one's a lot bigger than the other one. So what I do is I basically take half off of this little nut, specialty nut that comes in your slipper clutch set. I take half of it off. Maybe you can see it there. And I also shave maybe 2 millimeters off of this input gear right here. That way, when you put your hub on over the input gear, it'll slide all the way up to where it needs to be. See how it goes all the way up in there? If you don't take a little bit off of here and you don't cut this in half, that little specialty nut, then you're going to run into problems. You're not going to, well, first of all, you're not going to be able to get your clutch module back in the car. It's not even going to clip. So so that's what I do. That's my little special trick that I'm going to show you guys. And that's been working for me. And if you guys end up doing this, please comment and let me know how it goes for you, because I'm tickled to death that I figured this thing out. So I've got everything cleaned up here on our slipper clutch. These are my old slipper pads. They were pretty worn. Oh, that's not them. There it is. Pretty worn down. You see that? Got a nice lip there. It's paper thin, so it was time. So I'm just reusing some old clutch pads. They don't have to be brand new or perfect, you know, but I did take some 1000 grit sandpaper on my old ones and just kind of rubbed it around on that 1000 grit sandpaper, you know, knocked all the old grime and grease off, cleaned them up a little bit. I greased my bearings, and what I do with, I've made this special oil, and it's been working pretty good for me. It's like 2 parts 3-in-1 oil, 1 part grease, like wheel bearing car grease. And what I do is I put it in a 3-in-1 oil, I shake it up real good, and it'll come out kind of thick. You see that? It's like a thick oil, and that really gets that grease down into these bearings. And it stays in the bearings, especially if you have your stock bearings. But yeah, that's a little trick for you. Put some grease in your 3-in-1 oil and shake it up till it's all one thing. So let's get started here. Oh yeah, I'm running this 3640 TP motor, 2600 kV. On my video, I thought it was a 2050 on my dirt day video, but it's 2600 kV 3640 TP motor. So definitely got the power to wrench things loose in this car. I've been running the hell out of it. Before I showed you guys my little secret here, you know, I like to test my stuff before I show it to you guys. So let me quit rambling here and let's get to it. But so you just basically put your bearing, it's got that little lip on it, you put it on your slipper clutch. This is the metal slipper clutch, and you will need 4 pads for this. If you're using the plastic spur gear, pretty sure it only takes 2 slipper pads, but it all works the same, the way I'm going to show you. So you got your new screw here that comes with your set, and you got your new specialty nut that goes in your hub. Oh, can you see it? That guy there. And you just want to get you like on a sander, like a power sander. I like to use a file so I can really, you know, judge how much material I'm taking off of my specialty nut here. And you guys can see here that it's about half of what you need to take off of there. You see that? It's about half what you need to take off. I was cutting it in half with a hacksaw, but I've learned that if you just file it down nice and slow and test, and then file and test it in your hub with your input gear, get you a file and file that input gear down. You could do it in your car, or you could take your whole differential out and do the input gear all on its own, but just file that down. Like, seriously, it's only going to take a couple of millimeters, maybe 3, 4 at the most, depending on how much you sand down this little specialty screw nut. But oh yeah, let me you want to keep one side factory, like a factory edge, that rounded edge. It sets down in your hub a lot better if you leave one side rounded and then the other side is flat. The flat side is going to go to your input gear. The rounded side is what you drop down in your hub. Now this is the back hub that goes to your input gear. I'm just going to slide this guy right. Go ahead and slide it right in the hub. Actually, before it drops down in there, let's put a little bit of red Loctite. I'm going to use some red Loctite on this. Don't want to go too crazy with this Loctite. You don't want it to get in your hub. Let's see. Got a little back up here. All right, so a little drop of red Loctite in on your specialty nut. That's what she said. All right, I'm gonna let that sit there for a minute. Now we're gonna assemble. You assemble your slipper clutch just like you do any other time. Use your manual. I've done it so many times I don't have to look at the manual. But the flange side of the bearing is what goes to the rear of the car. So we're going to put, this is like the mega slipper clutch, and I usually put that one in the bottom because I got a couple of them laying around from my son's car. Put it in the bottom, then you put your clutch in like so. Then get you a good, this is the most important one in my opinion, the one that sets on top of this clutch hub. You need a good slipper plate for that. Get you a good one. If you're using used ones, pick out one of your best ones and put it right on top, and then you slide that hub right in. Okay, it's just like you normally put it together. The trick is that specialty nut. Alright, so we've got that in. I'm going to go ahead and push this down so it's in there, it won't fall out on us. Flipping it over, going to put my my slipper clutch pad that is in the worst shape, I'm putting on the front side, and then put you a good one on top of that, with the good side showing. That way your hub slides on a nice new pad. You don't have no resistance there. Okay, so that's basically how you put it together. Alright, that's the metal one. I've had this gear since I bought the truck and I have never stripped it out. This gear has stripped out probably 3 or 4 pinions, but this spur gear is tough as nails. The plastic spur gear I've had terrible luck with in my Granite and Outcast, but this metal one is worth the money to upgrade to a metal spur gear if you guys haven't already. Alright, so we've got everything ready to install the actual screw. Right, so we're gonna, you got to get the order right for these guys here. You want the inner race to be setting right on that little bevel there. You see the little bevel? And this other side has no bevel. So you put that and then this guy here, that's what you want to sandwich in between the two. It has these little roller balls on it. You put that in the little bevel. What I like to do with this spring is knock off all the powder coat off of it. Because whenever a spring compresses, it actually kind of gets bigger. When it compresses, it gets bigger around. So what I like to do is, they got it powder coated. I just like to sand off the powder coat. That way you don't have anything hitting the side on the inside of your hub here. So just sand it off. You ain't got to go crazy with it. Get you a piece of sandpaper, sand it off, or a file. If you're in the hobbies, you need a file. You need a good file. Couple of good files, like a coarse one and a fine one. I use my file all the time. Alright, you guys, so I've got these races on my slipper screw. Now this is a specialty screw as well. It's an odd size. You can't find, I couldn't find any screws this size. It's like 1.8 or something millimeters. So they purposely made this screw, so you have to buy the maintenance set. Here's the spring that we sanded down. This spring must be sanded before you put it in this hub, so when it compresses, it doesn't touch the walls of your slipper hub. It's also easier to get in and out when you're doing maintenance on it. It don't get stuck in there quite as bad. So we've got our screw with our races, then your spring here, and then we're going to drop that down into your slipper hub itself. Now we've already put the Loctite on our specialty nut, and just to be sure, I'm just going to put a little dab on the tip of this screw here. Don't want too much, because I don't want to get it on the inside of this hub right there. You want all that stuff clean and free of debris. Alright, get it lined up and then start your screw. I'm going to get it started with a hand tool, and then I'll drive it in with the drill. Alright, so we're going to use this guy here to hold our little specialty nut in place while we're driving this screw in. I really don't have to worry about it too much because my hub's stripped out. But those of you with new hubs and you're using that nut, you've got to keep it tight back there when you're screwing that slipper screw in. Got to keep it tight, butted up to the back of that slipper hub, and then you want to back it off maybe a turn and a half or so. Like so. And then I like to break my drive shaft in half like that. I've got two of these shaft ends, and I put it in both sides of my drive shaft like so, and I'll stick it in both sides of my hub and give it a spin, and that'll let you know how much pressure is on this slipper clutch. So I'm not really turning it all that hard right now, and it's spinning freely on both sides. Of course, the back of your slipper clutch is going to have more tension than the front of your slipper hub. It's designed to put a lot more force and torque toward the rear of the car, hence the wheelies that you get when you have your slipper clutch tightened down. Now, I don't like my slipper clutch super tight, because running this big motor in the crate, and it tends to do wheelies too much. So I kind of loosen it off, and it's better for your parts when you loosen it up a little bit. So let's check this, see how this is, how much tension is on it now. Yeah, that's about right. That's the way I like mine, just where you can turn it without too much force. If you can't turn it, then you got it too tight and you need to back off your slipper screw a little bit. But this is good. That's the way that you're going to be able to install your, put together your slipper clutch, and not have to worry about your nut backing off constantly, or stripping out your hub. Like I said, I'm running a stripped out hub already, and this has been working great for me. When you're sanding down that little specialty nut, don't use a side grinder or something that's going to get that little brass piece real hot. If you get it hot, then it's going to break the glue that they have, you know, this rubber and metal. So when the metal heats up, it's going to heat the glue up and it's going to slip inside of there. So take your time with that. You know, use sandpaper and a file so that you don't break it loose. But that's my ironcladed slipper clutch maintenance there, that I have tested and tested and tested it, and it seems to be working out really good so far. I'm zombie by the way. Now this is a spool gear that I have made from 2 stripped out slipper hubs. It's the rear slipper hub. You see that? You see how the other slipper hub is too long? This is the rear slipper hub. Now you do have to cut that little you have to cut it flat, and I used the Traxxas Jado 0.8 mod gear for this, and it already has the 3 holes drilled in the gear, and I ran a screw through the middle with a nut. I drilled the hubs 1, 2, 3 holes, and now you guys have a hub, a spool gear that you guys can run your speed runs in, and you're going to get 100% power to the rear wheels and 100% power to the front wheels. I do not recommend using this spool gear for any type of bashing. Maybe on a racetrack, a dirt racetrack where you don't have a lot of grip, but anything you're going to be you know, on the road, you know, just doing some fast runs, this spool gear would be perfect. Like I said, don't use this bashing. You'll tear your drive shafts, you'll tear up your differential gear, because this thing right here is not going to let go. Something else will. You got to have that, you know, that little bit of extra motion, you know, that slip, that limited slip. That's why you have a slipper clutch and not spool gears for stuff. But this is a fun gear to use. I had this Creighton with some arrma hoons on it up to like 80 miles an hour the other day with this spool gear. I'll do a video soon. I was just kind of testing out some of this stuff I've been working on. That's why I haven't had any videos lately. But yeah, so yeah, that's your spool gear and your slipper clutch. Ironcladded out slipper clutch. So yeah, I'm gonna put all this back together, and we'll see you on the next video. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys can learn something, use some of these tips and tricks to benefit you and your hobby. If you guys haven't subscribe please. And if you guys hit the bell, you'll get notified when I make new videos. So guys, build your trucks, build them ironclad, build them the way you want to build them. It's Big B with Ironclad RC. Thank you for riding with me. Have a good one.